Yes, people, it's LokiMan07 back with another YouTube video. And I know I said that I wouldn't do any more occult breakdowns on this channel, but I kind of changed my mind. It's kind of fun. I like it. So let's go. That's what we're going to be doing. Alright. Hope you enjoy. Okay, this is not going to be a normal Hawkeye video breaking down the MCU and blah 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 blah. We're not doing that. We're going to break down the inspirations of Hawkeye outside of the MCU. Alright. And if you're not interested in that stuff, stick around. You might get your mind blown because I'm about to go in. Okay. Everything I'm going to say is going to be ironclad, no argument. You're going to enjoy this if you're into this stuff. Okay, so let's get into it. First things first, Hawkeye's air dates. When did it air? It aired from the 24th of November 2021 until the 22nd of December 2021. Okay, so fresh off the bat, we know that it runs through the constellation of Sagittarius and ends, its final episode aired on the first day of Capricorn. And by the time I finish this video, that won't seem random to you. Okay, so let's talk about what Sagittarius is and how this show is an ode to Sagittarius and Chiron. Okay, so first of all, Sagittarius represents Chiron. So when you see the Sagittarius symbol and you see the bow and arrow, right, that is Chiron's bow and arrow. When you see the centaur with the horse's body and the man's upper half with this bow and arrow, that also represents Chiron. Okay, who Hawkeye is representing in this show. Chiron is the healer, the hunter, and the warrior. And those traits he teaches. He's the great teacher. So no surprising that Hawkeye throughout this show is doing a load of teaching. Not only is he teaching Claire Bishop how to hunt and how to be a warrior, he's also teaching her how to heal. In fact, the first thing he shows her is how to take care of her wounds, patch people up, patch herself up. Okay, but of course it ends on Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn is represents the goat-headed dragon. Also represents Kronos. Okay, represents Kronos and the story of eating his own children. Okay, tied to the Jesus story. He's the two-faced god. Okay, the two-faced king. Okay, he represents order and limit and the Baphomet. Okay, Baphometic principle. Right, I'm gonna get back to that in a second, but let's continue. Another thing as well, in my previous video, my predictions video, I said there will be inspirations from certain Greek things like the Iliad, Odyssey, based around Chiron's students, which does come into play in this show. A big thing to do with those stories, certain things, is mother goddess energy also. For example, the Iliad, where you get the story of Troy from, is about Helen of Troy. And I'm going to break down something about the name Helen, and how it's used in this show. Okay, thing about the name Helen, it's linked to the word light, which is God's gift. Okay, so keep that in mind. Hel, or hell, is connected to the word El, which means God. Okay, those are linguistic evolutions of El, which can become Al or All. It's where you get Elohim or Allah from, or even words like always. which is linked to God, all meaning omni or pan, right? It just means everything, all things. I mean, all things. God is all things. Does that make sense? Helen, meaning light, is linked to other L sounding words like lucid, Lucy, Lucifer. Both Lucifer and Lucy mean light also. Okay. And there are many names linked to this name, like Alice, which means noble one. Okay. All these names are linked to enlightenment, the light, nobility or wisdom. Okay. So names like Alice, Eliza, Alisa, Lisa, Lucia, Yelena, Eleanor, they all have specific meanings that link to the same three things, right? Which all it's either going to be God's gift, light, wisdom, or some other term for it like nobility. Okay. Wisdom and nobility go hand in hand, right? And from just a few of those names, you can tell what I'm getting at here. It's not surprising that Hawkeye had to use a Trojan horse, which is to get people disguised, right? Because that's what a Trojan horse is, disguised to go into a venue unnoticed, and then come out when the soldiers come, right, to help, right? They Trojan horse the thing at the very end. I hope that makes sense. When it comes to Mother Goddess energy, there is a lot of it in this show. As time goes by and Disney has the keys to Marvel IPs, things will get more and more Mother Goddessy as time goes on. So at this point, things are very Mother Goddessy in general in Disney and in Hollywood anyway. So it all comes into one big thing, right? Where we get a lot of shows that have Mother Goddess symbology. Kate Bishop, of course, being representing divine feminine principle. Okay, as I was going on about Helen, Helen is an evolution of the name Selene or Selene, which means the moon. Okay, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know the moon is linked to feminine energy. It's also linked to light, the luminary in the darkness. Okay, God's gift. Okay, so Kate Bishop, of course, represents the Mother Goddess as the hunter, the huntress. Okay, she's the great hunter, the great warrior, and the goddess of nature and animals. Okay, she's also the virgin, of course, always the virgin. Okay, she's usually accompanied by an owl, which is funny. Okay, right, okay, we're gonna get into that later. Okay, but let's stick with what Kate Bishop is. Kate Bishop is Diane. Okay, whichever version of the Mother Goddess you wanna tell you what, I'll just when I'm speaking, there'll be pictures on the screen and it'll just be obvious to you. Okay, so let's continue. So yes, she's Minerva, she's Artemis, she's Athena, Diane, etc., etc. The list goes on. Okay, that's what all she represents. Okay, another thing that Disney like to do, okay, is give you visual representation of tarot cards in their shows. Okay, and we're going to get into the beginning of the show and its meaning. Okay, people, when I did my Loki video talking about He Who Remains with Sylvie and Loki, I mentioned something at the beginning of the video, and I said that the show represents the number 6, but I wasn't going to get into all that. Well, I'll get into it a little bit here. Okay, the number 6 is the Lover's card. Okay, and it has like a little artistic interpretation of the biblical Garden of Eden story. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you something. If you look at the Lover's card, you will see that Adam is looking at Eve. That's his focus, but Eve is looking to the deity. Okay, so in a biblical sense, that means that Adam is fixated on Eve, and Eve is fixated on higher thought, knowledge, wisdom, to be godlike. Okay, in the Loki TV show, when they're sitting at the table, the whole show, the whole scene is that same principle. Loki himself is fixated on Sylvie, but Sylvie is fixated on He Who Remains. Okay, that's what's going on in those scenes. If you look at them sitting at the table, it's like the Lover's card. If you look at how He Who Remains is dressed, it's also like the Lover's card. I'm bringing that up just to let you know that Disney do visual representations of tarot cards in their movies and shows. I'll probably show more of them in great detail in later works, but in this video I'm just going to stick to the tarot card that is used in this show, which is of course the Tower card. Okay, at the beginning of the show, right, Kate Bishop and 2 random extras, never seen again, go to shoot this arrow at a tower. And long story short, you probably should have seen the show if you're watching this, but she ends up destroying the tower. It's quite weird. Okay, but here's the thing. We're going to get into the Tower card and its actual meaning, okay, and see if it does anything concurrent to what the show does after displaying this card. So the Tower is the 16th trump card or major arcana card in most Italian suited tarot decks. It has been used in tarot cards since the 15th century, as well as in divination since the mid 19th century. Alright, so that's what Google says about the Tower card. The image of the tower is powerful, depicting a solid tower being struck by lightning and fire crawling out of small windows at its top. The meaning of the tower is commonly interpreted as meaning danger, crisis, destruction, and liberation. It is associated with sudden, unforeseen change. Okay, that's what Google's saying. All right, I'm gonna explain to you how this works, though. Okay, I've explained on this channel before that the number 7 is linked to destiny. Okay, and there are things about the tarot cards that follow numbers and frequency, and concurrencies. So, for example, the Tower is the 16th card. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 is linked to destiny. Okay, right. It's a twisted version of the Chariot card. Okay, just like the Devil card is a twisted version of the Lover's card. The Lover is the 6th card. The Devil card is the 15th card. 1 plus 5 is 6. Look at those two cards, right? So so we're talking about destiny here, and the only thing about the Tower card is linked to whereas 7 is lucky, right? 7 is considered luck. The Tower is considered an omen. Okay, it's more like an omen. However, it is linked to liberation as stated, so it's going to be chaos and destruction, but out of that chaos may come some gift or order. Okay, I'll give you an example. Somebody you love dies, right? But then you inherit fortune from them. The gift and the curse, the bad omen, that heirloom could liberate you. For example, you get me? It's going to bring about change, not necessarily bad change, but through the bad there will be change or liberation. Okay, 16 is the feminine version of 7. It's a feminine number because it is even. All right. You will find that the Mother Goddess is sometimes associated with the Tower. Okay, in the Bible you have Mary Magdalene. Okay, Magdalene just means Mary of the Tower. I won't get into that, maybe in future works. Okay, but all it is when you have the first feminine card, the first truly feminine card, defined femininity. It's the 2 card, and she's flanked by 2 pillars or the 2 towers. Okay, feminine energy is linked with the 2 towers, also the 2 trees of the Garden of Eden also. All right, so the destruction of a tower means rebuilding, restructure, etc, etc. Right, it's literally linked to the Mother Goddess. You will notice in the Bible that God isn't a fan of feminine energy. It is evil, etc, negative. If you look at the Tower card, you will see that feminine energy is linked to usurping. It's what you use to fell kings. Feminine energy can make a king fall. Yeah, and that's what this show is going to be about. It's going to be about a king falling and a liberation for our girl Kate Bishop. Also, if you look at the tarot card, you'll of the Tower, you'll see these 2 random people that have clearly jumped out the Tower to escape destruction. That's the 2 random extras in the show running away, just to symbolize the Tower card. Just like with the He Who Remains thing, it's blatant if you have an open eye. Oh, and let me add one more thing. In mythology, lightning bolts are associated with spears and arrows. They're the spears and arrows of the gods. If you look at the tarot card, when it's being struck by lightning, it's being struck by a god's arrow. Even looks like an arrow at its tip. Right, just throwing that out there for observation purposes. Right, let's go. So people, I hope that makes sense and you see the visualization there. If you watch the show, it's right there. With Kate Bishop being the Mother Goddess of war and nature, she of course um, has to have an animal of some kind. Artemis is also linked to dogs, who is another version of what Kate Bishop is. All right. So that's why in this version, the MCU's version, the dog ends up being Kate's and not Hawkeye's, because in the comic books it's Hawkeye's dog, but they kind of swap the whole situation around where Kate Bishop rescues the dog instead. Okay. And then even though her whole rescuing the dog thing is illogical, there's a random stray dog, all that's happening, and then you want to chase after a dog, and then the dog ends up getting itself in a situation and you rescue it. All right. There's no reason realistically that's not going to really play out, and boom, it's because she is linked to animals. All right. Let's throw that out there. I mentioned Capricorn and started getting into the Baphomet a bit, and I said I'll come back to that. I am coming back to that, alright? I am coming back to that, like way at the beginning. But let's talk a little bit about how Hawkeye interacts with Kate Bishop and the two principles of the two energies. Kate Bishop obviously representing the Virgin and the Immaculate One. Okay. This is why she dresses like a man at times. Okay. And dresses like a woman at times, because the Virgin knows no man. Okay. The spirit of war aspect of the Virgin Goddess is masculine like. Okay. So that's why Kate Bishop randomly has non-binary traits. It's not mentioned, of course, but it's visualized, as I will show on screen. When she meets Armand and he's talking about her wearing a tuxedo when she was supposed to wear the red dress. When Hawkeye is teaching Kate, the reason why Kate can get to his level so fast, even though I think it was done really well, unlike things like Star Wars and things, but it was done really well in this show, is because she's the Immaculate One, she's the perfect one. You'll find a lot of these feminine characters that are just good at everything, just good, and it's because of the inspirations. You get me? These goddesses are just good at what they put their mind to. Athena wants to be like a or Artemis, and that wants to be masculine like, and just are, and they are even better than the men. Right? Just like Athena's even better than Mars at what he does. Okay, those are the principles that are playing out in these shows. Kate Bishop is done well because she's really green in the show, and there are characters that are above her level, and it shows. So I think it was written really well. It's not always done bad. Okay, before I get off the subject, the name Kate is linked to the name Catherine and Cat, all meaning pure, which is linked to the virginity aspect, and are feminine, purely. Cat, C-A-T, or Cat, K-A-T, both mean pure and are derivatives of Catherine. Okay, believe it or not. And has become a name for the feline animal and names for the classification of cats in general. Okay. Cats are feminine animals, as I explained earlier, linked to the moon. If you watch my persona video part 1, I'll go all into that. I'm not going to get into it again here. As for Hawkeye and the Chiron thing, it was done really well, as predicted and as expected, but even better than I predicted, because they also put in his medical aspect, and they made a joke about getting supplies, and she thought, oh, we're going to get some Avengers supplies, and it was just no general medical things. Okay. his medical knowledge, Chiron's medical knowledge was also used in the storyline subtly and done very well. It was very, very, very well done. Yeah, his role as Chiron, a teacher, was done to perfection. I'll tell you something about Chiron, right? Centaurs are not gods, right? Just like how Hawkeye is not super powered, right? But Chiron is the immortal centaur. He's the centaur amongst gods. His students are sons of gods and kings, right? So he's the only centaur that sits among the gods, and Hawkeye is supposed to be the only hero that is just using skill alone, no tricks, no magic, no powers. It's just his abilities. He's the only one that's using his abilities. Even Black Widow is super powered. Okay, she's juiced up like Captain America is juiced up. But Hawkeye, it's just raw human skill. Just like how Chiron is just a centaur among the gods, he's just a normal human amongst the super powered heroes. All that stuff writes itself. Really well done. I've got to get into the owl, the random owl, as I remarked earlier. If you think all this stuff is just complete madness, that owl, right? It's just gonna have to be another coincidence, then, isn't it? Okay. But owls are synonymous with everything that I'm talking about now. So let's get into this, right? I've been talking a lot about Greek and Roman mythology. If you think that it's random, it is not. It's through observation of the show. But check this out. It was believed that a magical inner light gave owls night vision. Okay, so this is about the mythology of owls I'm reading to you right now. And if you're wondering about this mysterious inner light, think back on what I was talking about with Helen, Lucifer, Lucy moments ago. Okay, so it was believed that a magical inner light gave owls night vision. As the symbol of Athena, the owl was a protector accompanying Greek armies to war and providing ornamental inspiration for their daily lives. If an owl flew over Greek soldiers before a battle, they took it as a sign of victory. Right? Do I need to say more? Okay. Do I need to say more? Check this out, right? Athena is directly related to the owl herself. Okay, this mother goddess thing is directly linked to owls themselves. It is a symbol of Athena. So if you think you know all this stuff is coincidence, it's no coincidence that at the very last episode they symbolize victory with an owl, or even have an owl present at all, right? It not only symbolizes the victory that they just had, but it also symbolizes the upcoming victory, the overall victory against this tyrant king, which I'm going to get into, okay? Because the kingpin, just like He Who Remains, represents the aspect of Saturn, which I'm going to get into when I'm talking about Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Right, let's go. So first of all, people, because I'm going to need to wrap this video up soon, but this is the interesting part. Saturn, the ruling planet of Capricorn, has done many linguistic dances across cultures and nations, just like Helen has. And Saturn is linked to many words, of course. Satan, the satyr, which is like a goat man type creature. Satire, how satire, the word satirical, is linked to Satan, is the whole thing to do with a divine comedy, life is a joke type of thing, a dark joke. God is a comedian, if you've ever heard that phrase also. A comedy and things like that are linked to Saturn, or Pan, god of the theatre, god of performance in and music and things like that. In case you didn't know, the god Pan is also depicted as a goat type creature, just like the devil or Satan. And this dark side of God, or the hell aspect of L, is synonymous with the winter time. Okay, so you got to think, when Capricorn starts, it's literally at the peak of winter, the very, very summit. And this is where the Western world has made the circle of time its capstone. So we do a lot of ritual to this point in time, which is the height of winter. And we have Christmas, and like I said, Christmas is synonymous with Satan, believe it or not. I will put pictures on the screen. So I said earlier that Capricorn and Satan is the two-faced god. This is where we get the January worship, the Janus worship as well, the two-faced god. If you watch Spider-Man No Way Home, all of it is supposed to be an allusion or an ode to Yaldabaoth or Saturn. Okay, and it's all about multiple personalities, two sides. Spider-Man's two sides, trying to balance his two sides. The villains and their two personalities, their dark side. Okay, so this whole two-faced thing comes from the concept of Saturn or Kronos being a shepherd. And this is the thing about shepherd gods, okay, and harvesting, soul harvesting. The shepherd grooms the sheep, rears the sheep, feeds the sheep, but then the shepherd also executes the sheep and eats the sheep. Okay, so this is the whole lambs of God aspect. Okay, now when it gets to the kingpin, because this is all to do with the kingpin and what he represents, the kingpin is representing this. Okay, Echo is the child he reared for the slaughter. Okay, Kingpin is randomly wearing red for no reason. He has red on him. This is to represent the fiery aspect of Capricorn or Saturn, right? This is the two aspects of God, right? The higher God and the lower God, God of the underworld. This is why you'll find in the Bible God talks to Saturn or Satan often, and usually when he's talking to Saturn or Satan, he's doing bad to the people, right? Even though it doesn't say so. So even though like the story of Job isn't written like, yo, look how horrible this is, when Saturn is in God's head, right, God enacts evil upon man. So he tortured Job for no reason to prove a point to himself. So yeah, those are the influences of the characters and their roles in the show. If you was watching Hawkeye week by week, coming up to Christmas, they actually put the energy of Kingpin, or the way it was written, where you're kind of looking forward to this reveal of who the Kingpin is, like it's coming up to Christmas. Kingpin is dropped like the Santa Claus of the show. When you saw the Kingpin, because I know I did, I was like, sick, yes, it's him, right? And then he fell right in his time, the winter solstice. Okay, none of that stuff is an accident. The energy that it releases is not an accident. How you felt wasn't an accident. Which is what the artist wanted to solicit in the viewer. I would love to talk more, but I think my time's up. Right, I'm done. Okay. There's many more things in the show, of course, like Elena being the lady in red, or represented in the lady in red. Yelena herself being another aspect of Helen, or the mother goddess. The red colouring on both Kingpin and the mom is all to do with the blue and the red. Okay. The color scheme of red to represent fire and destruction was all throughout the show. Of course, there are other interesting aspects of the show, but I'm just going to leave it at that. If you found this video interesting to any degree, please like and subscribe. Okay, well, share the video with somebody who finds this stuff interesting. Right, that'd be nice. That'll be cool. Right, peace out, people. Stokeyman07. Peace.